Time for the business news with Matthew Warren. And Apple crumbles in China. All credit due to Matthew Warren for that pun. What's the story, Matthew?
Yeah, that's right. Well, there's been a sustained bout of attacks on the technology company there. It all started about 2 weeks ago with a TV documentary about China's repairs policy, which it criticised and said was unfair in comparison to other countries. That was then amplified by other parts of the media as well. Well, created such a fuss that Apple has finally backed down.
Apple says we're sorry to its customers in China. The statement on the company's Chinese website came after state media accused the technology giant of treating Chinese consumers unfairly and not bothering to answer criticism.
We realise that the lack of external communication during the process has led the outside world to think that Apple was arrogant and didn't care or pay attention to consumers' feedback. We sincerely apologise for any concerns or misunderstanding this has caused.
For the past few weeks, Chinese state media has attacked Apple. According to them, the US company gives its Chinese customers a second-rate repair service. Warranties, too, for the iPhone 4 and 4S aren't as good as elsewhere.
When iPhones are repaired in other countries, Apple replaces the entire phone. In China, it only replaces parts of it.
Tim Cook's letter doesn't explicitly apologise for Apple's repair standards, but it does pledge to improve them, as well as making warranty information clearer. It's good business sense to keep Chinese consumers on side. China is Apple's third largest market and is expected to take over as its biggest in the next few years. So far, the episode's not dented Apple's loyal Chinese fan base. Some have even accused the Chinese government of economic nationalism, going after Apple only to try and advance the interests of domestic and state-owned mobile phone operators.
And Matthew, Apple's share price is getting hit on another front as well.
Yeah, that's right. It wasn't a great day on Monday. It wasn't so much to do with this China story, but the fact that the biggest active investor in Apple, which is the Fidelity fund, it was revealed it's pulled out 10% of its shares in the company. Now, that's what's happened to the share price over the last year. It peaked at 700 in around September. It's now down 40%, just over $428.
And back here in Europe, how are markets doing this Tuesday morning?
Yes, take a look. The European market's just opening up and actually making a few small gains, as you can see there. Now, the Milan market, which we haven't got yet, but we're going to be keeping an eye on that today because there's the political impasse, of course, there, which is trying to be resolved. So markets will be very, very reactive to that. The other point that we've just been seeing this morning, Spanish unemployment in March actually down by about 5,000, which will be some welcome news. Let's just have a quick look at Asia as well. Markets there were mostly down on Tuesday. That was coming out of some disappointing manufacturing data in the US.
Matthew, the race is beginning to find a new boss for the WTO, the World Trade Organization.
That's right. The 158 members of that organization need to find someone to succeed Pascal Lamy, the Frenchman who's been in charge for a number of years now. And there are 9 candidates in total. It all kicks off this Tuesday. It seems, according to various reports, that these are the 2 front runners. Roberto Azevedo from Brazil, he's currently the Brazilian ambassador to the World Trade Organization, and also Mari Pangestu, she's the former trade minister of Indonesia. But there are 7 other candidates as well, and for fairness, I feel we should also put their names on the screen. So they will also be there if you can see them, from a range of countries: New Zealand, South Korea, Jordan. Now, what will happen is the 4 least popular 4 will drop out, and it should all be wrapped up by the end of May.
All right, business news from France. Now, usually you're reporting on the bad news and unemployment figures going up, but you found today that one product never goes out of style.
That's right. It seems it takes a lot to dent the French appetite for foie gras. The sometimes controversial delicacy has seen its sales rise recently, but it's not all good news for producers. Exports are struggling, as Katerina Vitozzi reports.
At around €83 a kilo, foie gras is undoubtedly a luxury. That, in France, is loved as much as ever. Nearly 50% of households bought goose liver last year, mostly as a festive season treat.
It's not something you buy every day, it's for when you want a treat.
Isn't it expensive when money's tight?
You have to do it occasionally and eat potatoes the day after.
France is the world's largest foie gras producer. Around 19,000 tonnes are made each year. Domestic sales rose 6% in 2012, but exports are suffering, mainly due to a fall in demand from Spain, its #1 client. Faced with tougher competition from producers in Bulgaria and Hungary, French producer Daniel Reha has turned to online sales to boost revenue.
Of course we've been affected by the financial crisis, but we were able to find a way through it. We had to look for sales advantages in the market and at trade fairs.
As small producers look to stay in business, your French foie gras is going to get more expensive. Grain and animal welfare costs are set to increase, passing an estimated 10% price rise onto consumers.
Well, let's get some more of the day's company news now. And 470 workers at an oil refinery in northern France will learn their fate later this Tuesday. Administrators at Petroplus will announce whether any of the 4 takeover candidates have made viable offers. The refinery has until the middle of April for a buyer to be found.
French football clubs won't be able to escape the new 75% income tax. That's according to the Prime Minister's office this Tuesday. All companies paying employees more than €1 million will be subject to the new rate. The French Football Federation had earlier suggested clubs might be exempt.
And the French call centre company Teleperformance has been hit by strikes at its Tunisian operations. Unions say that 80% of workers are taking part in a 72-hour strike. The company says the figure's more like 50%. Workers there are demanding better pay and conditions.
And Matthew's got news on the French real estate market this morning that could be of interest to property owners or potential property buyers.
Yes, you told me you're interested in this one, Cyril, and I was thinking this is a bit like the board game Monopoly, of course, which gives prices.
I'm interested in all of your
different
stories, Matthew, just for the record.
But especially this one. Well, there's information on a French website which looks at the price of property around Paris according to metro stations, and it ranks metro stations so you can see where are the most expensive, priciest places to live. Now, as a guide, the average price in Paris, this is a price per square metre, is €8,200. Now, the most expensive stations, you won't be able to see it from that. That's the website whizzing past, but I can tell you the top 3 stations. You might want to have a guess. Invalides is the most expensive, €14,000. They're all the ones
where Napoleon is buried. Makes sense.
Maybe that's why. Followed by Solferino and Rue du Bac as well. Those, of course, all in the rather prestigious 6th and 7th arrondissements are where it is now. If you're looking for a bargain, however, you should be heading to the northern or southern extremities. You don't look that surprised. Saint-Denis, though, is the best value up in the north, or Créteil in the southwest as well. Now, prices there will be more like less than €3,000 a square metre, or around that, as opposed to Invalides, which was about €14,000 a square metre. So something to have a look at. Meilleursagents.com, I should say that. Meilleursagents.com is what the site is called if you want to look at more.
All right, Matthew Warren, with the real estate news and the business news. Thank you very much. Do stay tuned to France 24. More news coming up.